Board games. Boards games. I might be talking about, and in fact, I will be talking about 3 boards games, but I'm not gonna shout. I guess I'm not feeling too well today, and that's not why I'm going off to play test. And so, unfortunately, Friday, which is normally the best day, is not going to see me going to see friends, which is a shame. And I'm hoping that I get well soon. Hello, how? Hello, and how are you? Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It is, let's say, 10 a.m.ish UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Blether. Today I'm a bit sick. I'm going to do a quick vlog, going to talk about games that I played on Tuesday evening. That because I was running through an S&D brief I never quite got to. And I'll just talk about what I'm up to in general. But first, yeah, this is going to be a vlog about like my entire week since I got back from Essen. So first of all, let's talk about just yesterday. Recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. So recent event, alarm going off, so annoying. Couldn't sleep. Noise, terrible. Yesterday felt quite ill. I ended up not going to a party that I was really looking forward to and hoping to go to, which I'm a bit bummed about. I mean, I'm feeling a bit rough. Hopefully that meant that I didn't pass on anything. And so, yes, what did I actually do yesterday? Basically had a really early night, by which I mean like 8, 9 p.m. And I woke up today at like 7, so clearly I'm needing some sleep, but that's an abnormal amount of sleep. But it's definitely, well, I'm fairly sure it's physical rather than emotional based. But anyway, let's pick it up and talk about something actually good. Let's talk about a brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? I'm going to say that trying new games. I love trying new games. Honestly, I'm very lucky to have a couple of friends, Chris and McCall. As long as I read the rules, and as long as I tell them clearly this is what it's all about, they are happy to play new games with me. I could bring, like, if it was just my prototypes, I think they would get a bit annoyed, but they're perfectly happy to play a couple of games that are new to them and new to me, and then play a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 of my prototypes. And so, yeah, I really love trying new stuff. And I think that's an important thing when you are a designer. And also at the same time, it's important that if you love trying new things, then you are aware of that bias, because that means that if your game is constantly changing, you will kind of love it more than when it's done, if that makes sense. And so kind of be aware of that. And hello, Josie, it is lovely to see you. Thank you for popping in. And I hope you're generally well and feeling physically a wee bit better than I am. So yes, brilliant thing, trying new games, and I absolutely adore it, even if the game isn't quite for me. I love that variety. Do you like trying new games, or do you prefer, yeah, replaying something that you already know you'll basically definitely enjoy? Like, would you rather play something short that you've never played before, or would you rather play something that's a solid 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 kind of thing? I mean, depending on how strictly you rate things. For me, I think I would always rather, well, always is a strong word. I think I would generally rather go for the thing that is like, ooh, this is new. How's this going to work? This is exciting. Now I can learn a bit about how things fit together. And for me, it's not just about learning one new game. Much as I adore Go, much as I would absolutely enjoy playing Groot pretty much any time now, I mean, maybe not factions that are new to me. Maybe right now with my current brain, I don't think I could handle playing the new factions. But yeah, I would absolutely play the old factions, the base game, the first couple of expansions, but I'd still, yeah. I think that it's generally when I'm feeling really exhausted and physically unwell that I'm like, yeah, let's play something we already know. Josie says, I love trying new games, but I like to play it a minimum of twice, ideally. First time to get to the mechanisms, and second time to start figuring it out. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can definitely. But there is something comforting about playing something you already know. Yes, 100%. And I think this is one. Let me get rid of that banner. I think, actually, um, trying new games. There we go. Um, let, so I think that's part of the joy of Magic the Gathering and collectible card games in general, and adding expansions, but also in root, like anything where there's expansions, where there's modularity, where there's a case of, hey, this game has so much stuff in it, and you can add this or not, and that allows you to have the comfort of being in a comfortable framework, you know what's going on, but hey, there's a whole bit of the what Mark Rosewater calls the crispy shell of the hash brown. Mark Rosewater claims that the crispy bit of the hash brown is the best bit, and then the inner bit is kind of I can do, but that yeah, exactly. It plays into both feelings. It's got the something new, and it's also got the, and I think that's something nice about playtesting in the early stages of the game, when it's like, okay, I'm going to make a game about this thing, and let's change half the game now because now I've isolated what's fun about it, and let's do some level design. And actually, that's also a nice thing about the crew and mission-based things. And also, I don't know if you know about Questable, which is one of the 2022 LDEC game contest entries. So yes, I'm trying to not say too much, but yes, trying new games is absolutely a brilliant thing. And let me since I'm stuck at home, I thought I might as well share some photos with you of stuff, and I'll talk about some games that I played on Tuesday evening. I've not done a lot of playing this week since I came back from Essen. I mean, Tuesday I had the delight of going and seeing Chris and McCall, and then I was going to head out on Wednesday, but then I wasn't feeling quite well enough, and I slept early. And then midnight, there was this loud ringing, which really didn't help my headache that's already had. And that carried on for 9 hours, literally, and from midnight until a bit after 9 a.m. And then, yeah, last night I was due to go to a party, but I was feeling pretty bad, so yeah, ended up not going. But let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about Grease Lightning, a game by, can I make this bigger? A game, nope, let's do it like that. So this is a game by Kathleen Mercury. You've got a wheel, you're racing round a wheel, you're rolling dice. The first die, it's 1, 2, or 3, and you always get that number. You always move that number. The second die is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, same as the potential third die. And here's where the push your luck mechanism comes in. Because if you roll that third die and it is lower than your second die, then you go bust. And so that means that if you roll a 1, well, that's actually a decent roll for your second die, because it means anything you roll with that third die is safe. And working out the probability, it turns out that if you roll 1, 2, or 3, you should probably roll the third die. If you roll 4, 5, or 6, you might want to not. But then it's also situational. Does it matter, like, to get that wedge right now rather than later? Are you wanting to push your luck? Are you a person who would carry on rolling on a 4 or even a 5. And you've got fish. Fish can let you roll stuff. And so that might be something that you play into and think, oh, well, I mean, I've got free fish, so I might as well roll, even though my first one was a 5. Just catch up. And, that whole, well, if you're far behind, you play the risky move. If you're far ahead, you play the safe move. It's a really nice thing. Josie, I assume you're someone who just likes to push that luck, as you suggest here. Yeah, maybe that's a better way for me to put that screen. So yeah, it was a lovely game. I really enjoyed it. Spinning ground and racing ground, what everyone enjoyed. And these are the dice. This is obviously a staged photograph. I did manage to line all of them up on my bed. I was quite proud of myself. You see, you've got the 2 different types of dice, 4 of one, 8 of the other, so everyone has their own dice. And everyone really enjoyed this stacking of changing the course and being like, boom, I can put this bad thing in front of you, or I can put this good thing in front of me, and trying to work out what's going on. I think that, yeah, I think the basic design is brilliant. I think that for my friends who don't like arithmetic, and, especially for that night, we enjoyed the one game, but we didn't play it a second time. And for the record, normally when I play games with my friends, we will normally be like, yeah, that was fun. And if it was fun, we will play it a second time. If it was like, yeah, that was okay, then we won't play it a second time. So we actually do what Josie suggested and play things a minimum of twice. But yeah, we all absolutely love that track changing thing. But I think there needs to be more things to do with changing the track. Obviously, you've got the amazing labyrinth. You've got this one. We need more good games about changing the track. Maybe I should make one. Yeah, a game about laying cards and moving little things. I'm very tempted to start making games in a cheap-ass games manner where you have to use a little cube or something from other games, because that feels reasonable. Josie says, I have a friend who hates maths being included in games. Yeah, I can get that. And it's not a lot. Like, you might have to add up 5 plus 2 plus 2, and that's 9, and then you move along, and then sometimes there's a boom, here you can move 3 extra, and then you need to keep track of that. And it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not like anyone lost count or anything. But if that's something that you maybe don't enjoy or struggle with, then it's obviously not a game for you. I would Grease Lightning. It's a lovely game, although I am biased because it was made by my good friend Kathleen Mercury. Now we've got there we go. Hello again. Did I black out for a minute? I hope that everything's well with you. So Farben, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of colors. There's so many colors. There's grey, black, white, purple, red-ish. It's meant to be red. It's not really red enough. Brown, yellow, blue, pink, them all there. And also there's all these topics, and the topics are going to be multilingual. So you might see weakness, and on the other side of the card, it will give you the German version of that word, whatever that is. And it will be like alter and being old. And you've got to think of a story, a memory that has something to do with, for example, city, and then you connect it with a color. And maybe it's just us. Maybe we were being tired. But for us, it didn't spark a lot of memories. It didn't feel like sometimes we were really struggling to cope with things. And McCall and myself both actually love conversational games, which is about primarily about deepening that connection and sharing stories. And sometimes there's not every game has to be primarily about out strategizing and outmaneuvering, out remembering, out contorting or whatever everyone else, or out slapping. I mean, we do enjoy those games. We do play a few speed games, and I enjoy strategic games. But yeah, there's something lovely about deepening that connection and deepening that bond. But yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't. We really struggled to come up with stuff. I think that I would like to play this a couple more times just to see if it was just us, to see if it would work better with, I don't know, try it once with my family, maybe try it once somewhere else. I would probably prefer that I knew a tiny bit at least, um, just so that we feel totally comfortable sharing any personal stories we do have. And I think it fundamentally the rules of the game are brilliant. It's can you tell a story, and you get points at the end for remembering other people's stories, and you also get points for other people who remember your stories. So you want to pay attention and you want to tell memorable stories. As Gil Hova says, good game design is about incentivizing interesting behavior. And in the same way that, you know, to toot my own horn, the whole reason that a game about wee whimsical or cute comical creatures and trying to identify them after some makes noises rewards you for making a super obvious thing that the majority of people get is because that's interesting. Making a super obvious noise, making an expressive noise, that's interesting. And in the same way here, telling a super memorable story, that's interesting. That's something that leads to a good conversation. But it was just the ability of us. We weren't feeling up to it. We weren't feeling quite creative enough in that moment. And so, as I say, I would like to play this a couple more times and see how it goes. But part of me wonders, like, what would it be like if there were, rather than prompts, silhouettes? Would that be easier? Would it be harder? But yeah, Farben, this is, yeah, really nice thing, but possibly a little bit too challenging for us. But if you ever want to play it with me, please let me know. Finally, Skål, which I will of tomorrow. And Josie, by the way, just to let you know, thank you for the feedback, and thank you for letting me know, because I'm never 100% certain unless I watch the thing afterwards, or if someone lets me know. So it's really good to hear that technical sorts of feedback. If there's ever something going on, please do let me know if I seem unaware of it. Anyway, so Skål, I'm biased because I was sent a review copy by Andrew Prose. I'm also biased because I've done a tiny bits of paid work for Andrew, where I did a song. It was probably underpaid, but it was nice to be still valued and have at least someone pay me something. So I am predisposed to enjoy this. Also, I am predisposed to enjoy it because I enjoy dexterity things, and I don't mind the idea of a drinking game. I will say that my initial thoughts are it's a nice game. It's pleasant. If you are of a similar skill level, it is very exciting. I think that if your skill level is too far apart, then it can be immensely dispiriting, because it is one of those games where, like Double, if one or Set, if one person's just constantly getting it and one person isn't, then you just feel like, yeah, what's the point of me even being here at this table? Here, it's a little bit worse than most speed matching games because you need to stack like 7 dice typically. So it's not just about the time taken to stack the one thing, it's about the time like if you might be almost as fast stacking 4 dice, then stacking the seventh, you're going to fall a little bit further behind. Unless the people are winning, get fatigues or something, there's nothing. And that is the worst part of the game. The other worst bit of the game is that I feel like there's a lot of complication that it's not made as accessible as possible. There's some things going on with the runes, which I feel could have been. They. I feel like the runes could have. Like, there's this. I guess maybe that you could say, okay, that rune is just to make sure that you've got this extra second to match this, but then it feels like you've got this bit of memorization of, okay, that rune that you can see on the top left of this picture and just beside it in the red. What does that number mean? You've got to quickly either remember or you have no chance, or you might look around the board, you might look up the instructions, but if you have to do that, then again, you have no chance compared to someone who does manage to remember, and then they stack up all the things. And that feels like a slightly weird one. Josie says, I backed Skål yesterday. I played it at UK Games Expo. And if you're not doing so well, you cheat and knock the table. The best bits about this game are firstly that you get actual metal shot glasses in the game. That's quite cool. So if you want some metal shot glasses and you're looking for a way to get metal shot glasses and support UK game design at the same time, then this is a way to do it. The dice are quite pretty. There are a lot of varied things. You can add all the extra stuff in a modular way, and I think that's good because you've got the basic game, and then you could add this, or you could add that, or you could add, and it kind of, I think it's very much up to you what you add and what you don't add. The game can function well, could function with all of it, or could function with like a couple of bits added, and so you can do that to your taste. So if you don't like the rune bits that I just mentioned, then you don't have to include them, and the game can still function just as well. You've got special abilities for each of the characters, and if you struggle to remember those, you don't have to add them. But if you are it's over, everyone knows the game and want to add bits, then you've got that all in the box. Nice. Um, so, is my is bad. I think Dermot will like it for uni, and yeah, I think that it's one where you have to be generally okay with. It might get wet. Okay, if you're drinking and you're going to yeah, I'm blacking out again, aren't I? I can see the screen telling me that I'm Can you hear me now? I'm going to assume you can. Can you hear me now? Does it work? Yes. Okay, great. Finally, I am back. So yes, Skål, I will talk about it properly tomorrow. I'll have a quick a couple of questions with Andrew about what's going on and what's likely to change. There are some bits that I think, yeah, I would encourage you to try. I will have a quick go of the solo mode and yeah, see how that goes. That's my plan for tomorrow. Obviously, if I'm still feeling really sick, then I might not have. Well, I'll give the solo mode a try, even if I do really, really badly at it, but take that into consideration. Anyway, so those are some of the games played and what I'm generally up to. I thought I'd talk about this. So I'm doing a Kickstarter next week. The Kickstarter next week is for four games that I've already made. So it's for a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings and complementing the complements, a game about cute comical creatures and trying to identify them after some makes noises, a game about counting cats' shapes and colours that keeps getting trickier, and a game about quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures. All of these games have been previously made, they've been previously enjoyed. I'm very happy with the previous production. It's just that they're basically sold out and I would like to put them into a box. What I'm planning to do is to, if this Kickstarter goes well enough, then these four games will all go into a box. I think I'll try and work out the maths and what exactly I need as a funding goal between now and Tuesday. But if everything works out, because of print on demand, I am able to print 1,000 boxes at once that potentially have different covers. So if I had 10 games, I could print like 100 of this, 100 of this, 100 of this, which would be really nice, but I don't have 10 games. I do, however, have 6 things that well, I don't have 10 games that I want to reprint right now. I do, however, have 6 games that need to be printed right now, and I'm very happy with. So a game about selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies, which was my previous Kickstarter. I'm going to put that into a box. And the 4 that I just mentioned, I'll reprint them, and Categorickell. So that will be 6 things. So Categorickell, I think I've got enough people to do 250. The other ones I'll probably aim for 100 each and selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies, maybe 150 of that one, and I'll see kind of maybe more of cute comical creatures. Also, the Kickstarter will tell me how to print of each one. There will be 2 pledge levels, 2 main pledge levels, I should say. One will be for I should put up a thing. Kickstarter next week. So there will be 2 pledge levels. One of the pledge levels is just, hey, get 1 copy of any of these things. I will sort it out, and please let me know as soon as the Kickstarter ends so that I can work out my printing production. And the other pledge will be, okay, all 4 of these things, and you'll save maybe £3-4. It will be a small amount because it's already going to be a fairly cheap price. I'm thinking £8 per item. So normally 4 would be 32, and instead I'll knock it down to 29. That's something that I can afford. And yeah, more than 4, I will I will allow add-ons even though it will cost more just because I like people buying more stuff. So yes. Boxed, says Josie. That's exciting, yes. And I thought I would talk about that. So my plan going forwards is to push more into the space of having the first edition Bezzy bargain bags be very clearly, this is just a test. try this out. I think it's good, and hopefully, based on the number of games that I've made in the past, I've got a good sense of what is playable and what's not. But yeah, I'm not sure. And then that will be something that I sell at conventions. With one of my games released at my next convention, so not KCON, but a Gamers Gaming Getaway, I'm strongly thinking of introducing a plan where if you play it a certain number of games and give me good feedback at a certain point, then I will give you another game in the future for free. So it will be something like, hey, here there were 50 bits of content. I want you to rate. I want you to have played 3 games. Give me some feedback. Answer a few questions and rate all 50 of these things out of 5, which is a bit of work. I'm not going to deny that. But then in return, you get a free copy of my next thing, whatever that might be. I don't know. I've not thought further ahead than this year. And I guess I could talk about this year. What am I doing this year? And Josie, who says, I'm feeling pants too, had my COVID booster jab and feel really tired. Yeah, lots of love, and I hope you recover soon. I mean, at least it's denatured. Imagine if it was just a regular COVID. But yes, let's talk about my next couple of conventions. So KCON, that's happening next weekend. So I think I'm going to be there from Thursday with Josie. I'm looking forward to it. So yep, I'm excited to be there, and I should be getting a print run of what's I too many games. What did I even call it? What was it? Um, I need to check Board Game Geek. Um, yes, this is possibly a sign that I'm just making too many games. If I can't even remember the thing that's meant to come to me next week, it is, and it's also probably a thing of once I've demonstrated it a couple of times and read out the name a couple of times, I will hopefully remember it. But do 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 do. So anyway, too many or the other. Yeah, it might also be that I'm not feeling um, anyway, I've got a game and I'll expect no, but like the thing is when you've got the game in front of you, you kind of remember it because it's right in front of you and you can just read it off a card. You can be like, oh, this is a blah blah, and so that's easier. Um, let's see. It is a game about yes, quickly grabbing cards and judging them against free descriptions. Yes, yes. It is a game about quickly grabbing cards and what did I just say? Judging them against free descriptions. Okay. Oh, yeah, I've got a lot of tech issues. I've got a lot of health issues. I've got a lot of headache issues. I've got a lot of issues in general. I've got a lot of disappointment issues with not being able to go and see people. Yes, it is um, the judging game. Yep, that's fair. and there's lots of pictures. I think I've decided I'm going to keep my games to 50 cards because that seems like a good number. Then I've got 4 cards, one for the front cover, one for the back cover, one for the instructions, and I've decided that I'm going to allow myself to have one adverts card. And yeah, that adverts card. I know an adverts card doesn't have value, but hey, especially for the first edition where you're getting these games for £5, it's like, yeah, this is a good deal. Anyway, that game. Um, a game about quickly grabbing cards and then someone else judges them against free descriptions. I was never entirely happy with that name, to be honest, but it is, I promise, a game about quickly grabbing cards and judging them against free descriptions. Anyway, that's what I'm making. And then, what am I doing for the next thing? Well, a gamer's gaming getaway. Gamer's Gaming Getaway is like a campsite thing, and I've talked to Jack. I am going to make 2 new games, one of which, oh, is going to be, and this is not necessarily the name. I've not painted the name yet. It is going to be a game about, um, a game about writing down words that vaguely match a category and starts with a particular letter, hoping to match other players exactly 3 times. So this is a very social thing. It's vaguely like categories or Boggle in that, but rather than trying to write as many things as possible, the key thing is that you're trying to match exactly 3 times. If you match once, you get 1 point, twice, you get 2 points, thrice, you get 4 points, and then four, five, six, any number more than 3 times, you've gone bust. You've matched too many, you've written too many things. Shame on you. That is the game. And that's something that I've played a bunch of times, and there's going to be words, and there's a lot of content, and yeah, we've got for each of the cards, we've kind of it's almost like we're simulating 200 cards in a deck of 50, which I'm quite proud of. Because on one side, you've got 2 letters. So you might have a cat at one side where it says, write anything, something, anything related to books or cooks, or something related to I'm trying to remember the other things. Again, I'm very tired. Actors or activities. Something related to mountains or mm, ma. Oh, I can't. Anyway, you get the idea. And Gaming Getaway sounds fab. Yes, I'm looking forward to it very much. And if you want to join, there is still time. And speaking of a Gamers Gaming Getaway, I'm not only making one, but 2 new games for this convention. The other one is a game. I've still not worked out the name for this, and this is going to be under tested. I'm going to admit that, but it's a game about making scenarios and making confusing scenarios that people would be willing to do for a varying amount of time. And once I've sent this game off to print, I will then add a new song to Josie's playlist. That is the the entire inspiration behind this game. And so you've got cards that say, if I can remember, never know, seconds or minutes, hours or days, weeks or a few months, years and years, always forever. And that determines how long you would do things for. And then the scenario maker has one card that says you do this thing either just for fun or for £1 million, whatever they think is going to make it more confusing and split the vote. And if I can quickly look at my spreadsheet, one scenario might be You've got to cosplay as a financial investor who has unbelievable blue eyes and you're constantly wilting away. So a couple of those things are clearly from the song, but it might also be follow any order given to you by 7 monkeys with typewriters who is half covered in cement whilst riding a horse. Or, and it's all live streamed, and you do it naked whilst wearing a blindfold, and everything is in slow motion. There's a whole bunch of things, and the scenario mixes these together. Again, every card has 4 things, so there's a lot of content, and the scenario maker can make like a ridiculous number of combinations, and hopefully they will be interesting enough. And scenario maker gets a point for every different vote. Everyone else gets a point for everyone who voted exactly the same. And I'm really excited by that. And so, yeah. Josie says, I think it's going to be a manic game. Do you mean the one that I just mentioned? A game about making a scenario and that people will hopefully do for varying amounts of time. Is that the one that you think will be a manic game? Or do you mean one of the other two that I just mentioned? The judging one, as you put it. Okay, the scenario one, yes. Yeah, I'm quite excited by that. I don't know if manic is the right word, because there's no speed in this one at all, just to be clear. There's absolutely no. This is. Wow. Yeah. Have all of my games. Have all of my games. Yeah. Most of. I mean, a game about counting cat shapes and colors that keeps getting trickier is time based. Obviously, drawing creatures, complementing the drawings, and complementing the complements had nothing to do with time, but a game about quickly grabbing cards and judging them against free descriptions is time based. Quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures is time based. Selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies is time based. Stuffing balloons as a team without talking, but it's a card game, there are no actual balloons, even though it's not be as quickly as possible, that is, I've got to play it at the correct time for those initial face-up cards. So yeah, this is, I've made a lot of games that are what I would call time-based this year. That's quite interesting. Yeah, I am, as I mentioned in one of my previous streams, I am going to try and move towards doing more turn-based things. And Josie says, I think it's going to be mad, no speed, but it's an ongoing game. Sure, like one person plays the scenario, everyone else secretly votes, then reveal. Score up points. You need to use paper pencil to score up the points. I don't give you any. I guess you could. No, there's not enough cards to score up everyone's points. You need paper pencil or something else to score up the points. And then, yeah. Time does add an element of tension quite easily, says Josie. Yes, it does. But at the same time, just because of my pitching at Spiel, I realize that I need some non-time based games, and B, some bigger games. Yeah, Drawn Together isn't time based, but I've not released it yet, and I don't know if I'm officially going to release it this year. But I will talk about it in a moment. But first, I want to talk about my last convention, because I'm not just going to those 2 things and also Proto Spiel Nottingham. No, no, no. There's one more thing, which is, of course, Dragon Meet, where I think Josie was coming. Are you coming over to stay, right? You're coming over for a night. And I'm looking forward to Dragon Meet. I have, oh my gosh, I need to pay for it. Um, yeah, I need to pay for my stand. I have booked, but I will pay. I just don't feel up to going out today. I'm going to be honest. I'll pay for it tomorrow. I'll just make sure I get to the bank before 12 when it closes. But yeah, Dragon Meet, it's primarily roleplay based, and that's why, this year. So one of the games that I mentioned, a game about um writing down words that to fit a category and starts with a letter, aiming to match other players exactly 3 times. Although I think that name's a little bit too long. So that one is a co-design with Kirsten Lunde, and this is actually my first co-design that's outside of the L deck that is going to be going to print, and I'm super excited about that. My second co-design is going to come less than a month later with Laura Wood. So Laura Wood and I have been working on a game for many years. I say working on it doesn't mean that we've been actively working on it, but we worked on it, and then we worked on it a bit more, and then it got shelved, and then COVID, and then didn't, and then Laura Wood, and then anyway, it is a game about 2 players role-playing a pivotal conversation. That's the game. I'm fairly sure that that's... So there's 2 players. It doesn't play 1, it doesn't play 3, it doesn't play any number except for 2. I mean, I'm sure someone out there could make a version that works for other numbers, but that's not what I'm going for. It is a specifically 2-player game. Secondly, there's role-playing, so it is a LARP. But it's not a LARP like any other. It's a LARP that takes about 15 minutes at most to play. So most LARPs are multiple hours, and this whole thing came from Laura Wood saying, you know what would be good? Like, there's LARPs, and then there's an argument, and like at some point during the LARP, you've got this one argument with someone else, and what if we could have a game that was just that argument, and everything else was abstracted away? And yes, Josie is coming to stay for Dragonmeet and will be on the stand and remembering as many game names as possible. Some of them are sold out, but we'll see how it works. So how is the conversation led? Well, it's a card game. So you've got... The idea is that... I will do a proper stretch when I finish talking. The idea is that you'll have some cards which are character cards, and I'll be doing some illustrations for them. They will be actual humans. They will be, let's say, realistic people. This isn't going to be fantastical things. There's no whimsical creatures. There's no cute comical creatures. There's no... I was going to say there's no cats, although there might be someone who really likes cats, and then they've got cats in the art with them. They're all humans that might live next door to you. No dragons. No dragons. No. They're all people who might live next door to you in the real world. I mean, if you lived in a flat and you didn't know who your neighbor was, because obviously if you actually know, then... Anyway, but the point is, you get this card of this character, and it's got a vague, okay, this is the art. You maybe get an idea of their name, so you get to pick... You get given a name and a couple of things, like this person has heavy shoes, and then it might say this person walks around with heavy shoes, or it might say this person pours all their love into cats, and you have to decide what that means. It's hopefully open for a little bit of interpretation. And then you pick one of several scenarios. There's going to be 4 possible things you can do. There's affirmations. We are basically in character, not as real people. That's the key thing. Like, in character, telling each other how much you love each other. There's arguments, where you're having a heated argument, and then you're possibly going to be literally shouting, and if there's... Yeah, hopefully you'll find a place where you can do it properly. Maybe you do it in your house, or if you do it in a cafe, then, obviously think about the volume. There's final farewells, which is maybe someone's dying, maybe someone's going to be incarcerated, or maybe someone's going away on a long trip and you will never see them again. Or maybe it's a first hello, that you've just met someone and it's maybe your first date, maybe you've just kind of meeting on the street, maybe it's the first time, and we're going to have 2 or 3 things for each of these things. So there will be about 10 different scenarios. As you can tell, still there's a bit to be written. And so you've got your scenario, you've got your character, and then you've got some question cards. And then the question cards are prompts that you can ask, and then you spend 5 minutes or so trying to work out what happened up till now and what your character's relationships are. And then once you've done that, you launch into the conversation, and then you have this argument or this affirmation or whatever, and then you shout or you scream or you hug. Obviously, check with each other if each other is comfortable with touching or whatever, because you don't want to hug someone if they're not comfortable with that in real life. I mean, yeah, maybe someone's uncomfortable in character with touching, but they're comfortable in real life, which is the ideal situation to be in. But if someone's comfortable in character but uncomfortable in real life, you can always say, I hug you, and then do a sort of fake hug. And but you know, work that out beforehand. And then you get this good conversation, and that's it. And Laura Wood and I are going to finish this thing. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And Dragon Meat feels like the perfect time to release it. And if I don't do it this year, then I will probably never get a chance to release anything it's at Dragon Meat again. So yes, that is all the games that I'm releasing for between now and the end of the year. And Categorickell, I am that does depend partially on my next Kickstarter, how it goes. My next Kickstarter is going to be for Drawn Together. I was kind of thinking about having it run this year very soon after, just to make sure that I can get it out for the end of the year, because it's kind of a time. And yeah, then yeah, generally I'm always going to be working on new stuff. I mean, based on Grease Lightning, it's like, yeah, I mean, I might make my own thing of that. I might try to do more conversational things. I might try and do more games that are vaguely mathsy, not like super mathsy, but vaguely mathsy and slightly strategic, and you take as long as you want on your turn, assuming that other people are okay with it. I mean, obviously, if we're playing Groot and you're going to sit there and take more than a minute over your turn, I mean, it's a complex game, but I'll probably start feeling a bit bored. I mean, I prefer people who try and take their turns a bit more quickly. I might try and do a some sort of simultaneous action. I might try and do, but fundamentally, it won't be, oh, I scored these points because I was half a second faster than you. I'm going to try and avoid them for at least some number of games. I don't have a definite number. It's just I want to make some number of games that don't fall into that category, because it's weird how, in the same way that we, like, even though more and more cooperative games have been being made, people still assume that we are going to play competitively. If you say, hey, would you like to play a game? If I don't explain that it's a cooperative game, people will assume that it's a competitive thing. And similarly, if I don't tell you explicitly that something's a speed game, then people will assume that it's turn-based. And I still want to make lots of speed games, because I think speed games, have so much more space to uncover. My friend, actually, Fabrizio Leotti, who I've had on the show before, Hyperwars, I might get them on again. We're chatting about that. To talk about, yeah, strategy and speed games, because they're making Hyper Wars, which is a little bit more complex than a game about selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies. And the interesting thing to me is a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your turnips or beetroots or radishes does have one decision in it. I mean, sure, for the most part, it's just flip over the card. It's performance based, it's quickly evaluating, it's how quickly can you do this thing? Does this match? If so, puts it back down. If it totally doesn't match, puts it on top. And the faster you can do it, the better. You will win the game if you can do that super fast and your opponent can't. But then there is this one decision of vegetable, do you take it or do you not take it? And if you take everything as soon as you can, you will get to the end and there will be a whole bunch of things that you can't take. And in a two-player game, I would win against you. Even if you're the fastest person in the world, then I would win just because it would get to a point where, oh, I need to get one of these vegetables to get out of a jam and you don't have any vegetables left. Well, that's because you weren't making that decision correctly. And it's not the biggest decision, but having that kind of one single decision does elevate it and make it. I mean, honestly, how many other speed games are there where you're actually making decisions? I mean, obviously, there's the um, from the dark, Escape from the Temple. There's Camelot, which is brilliant. Camelot is brilliant. I mean, that lightning system, I would love more games to use that. And but beyond that, games that actually work. I mean, I played one at Tabletop Gaming Live that I'm not going to mention that I feel didn't work at all. But yeah, I think that there could be a lot more space uncovered. And Hyper Wars, I adore it because it's reaching into that Camelot. Like, Camelot is the most complex game I know that is also a speed game. I mean, I guess, yeah, actually, you've got that one cooperative one. Jeffing Space Alert. That's also a good game. But a lot more ground's uncovered. That's all I'm saying. And I would like to keep pushing that because people aren't doing a great job of uncovering this ground. Why is everyone obsessed with taking turns? Why do we need to wait? Why can't we just, do things whenever? There could be like games where you're allowed to be fast, but not super fast, like, Camelot's system, or games where you're passing cards to your neighbors, but then eventually you run out of cards. But then if you are too slow, then you get cards from your neighbor this way, like the Hyperwar system. Both of those are brilliant. And I told Fabrizio, like, if I make something with that same system, sure, I don't want to release it before Hyper Wars comes out. And like, Hyper Wars is just, I love what it is, and I really, really want it to exist. And I want more games like it to exist. I want more people to say, you know what? We're making a strategic game. It could be turn-based, but it could also be speed-based. And I want that to not just be an assumption that everything is turn-based. But while I do continue doing that, and whilst that is something that personally I will love to continue doing, I also want to make games that could be published potentially by Helvetic, for whom I'm going to work on slow games. And yeah, like, just thinking, yeah, that could be published by that company. And as I said, things with a big thing in the middle of the table. I want to think about this stuff that could be sold for 25 quid. And I know that's a weird way to put it, but that's the way it was expressed to me by a publisher. Hey, your games are great, but they're not going to cost more than 10 quid. We want to sell things that are 25 quid. And, that's them. They know what they're doing. And so I love designing games. I love making stuff. And I'm not going to say that I'm not making any new stuff this year, but I'm definitely not finishing any new games this year, except for the ones that I've already mentioned. Yeah, that is all the games that I'm finishing. 3, maybe 4, maybe drawn together, I don't know. Except for those, nothing else is going to be finished this year. Maybe Categorickell. Yes, we will see. but I'm not starting and finishing anything new. And next year, looking ahead, am I going to be finishing games? Am I going to be making a new game for every convention I go to in 2023? No. Ah, sorry, but no, I'm not. Um, Much as I enjoyed this whole, I'll make a whole bunch of games in 2022, and it's been really enjoyable. I'm really happy with, most of the things are sold out except for a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your turnips, beetroots, radishes, whatever. It What I want to do, I think, is make stuff, and I'll try to average a similar amount in 2023. So I will be super prolific, I think, in 2023. I'm talking like 10-ish games actually brought to publication, possibly by myself. But yeah, I'm going to go to things. I'm going to go to Hereford and probably not have a brand new game with me. But people who go to Hereford aren't probably going to have gone to Dragon Meet or Gamers Gaming Getaway or KCON. Let's be honest. So they'll already have like a ridiculous number of new games from me since last year. And, at UK Games Expo, sure, I will make sure I have at least one new thing for UK Games Expo because that's a big deal. And going to Nuremberg and, yeah, I will try and have at least one new prototype. But in terms of brand new game, no. Like, especially when I go to conventions, sometimes like 2 weeks apart, it's just not sensible. It's just not, doesn't make a lot of sense logistically. But yeah, I will keep making thing. Um, and Josie says maybe 3 to 5 new games. Is that for next year? No, that's not enough at all. At least 6 new games next year. I mean, it's going to be my last year in the UK. How can you keep me to only 5 new games? But my big conventions next year, like personally, my big conventions are going to be Cannes and Nuremberg because those are the ones when I will actually get to pitch. And also QCon, I'm going to go there in Ireland. I'm really excited. But my big things in terms of when will I be making brand new games, UK Games Expo and KCon. Those are my two big things next year. UK Games Expo in May and KCon in October, which is also my leaving party. Maybe Tabletop Scotland, I'll have some stuff for then. Maybe one thing for then. Yeah. And are you saying no to the doing a similar number, or are you saying no to a game per convention? And are you telling me that I should have a break from game making? Why? Why? I feel like, are you not excited to see more new games from me? I'm kind of insulted. uh, um, it's my last year in the UK. I'm probably going to work slower on things when I'm away, and but this is my last time, and let me have this. Let me have a break from the amount of game making, quantity break. Josie, why are you trying to curb my enthusiasm? Uh, um, I love you. Um, I mean, I assume that you're still looking forward to. I hope people are still looking forward to my new games, and I do honestly feel like going forward, it will definitely be £5 budget bag. What? One a week? No, 52 is way too many. No, I can't manage that. Oh, lots of love to you. Um, so yes, I think that I am thinking I will do busy bargain bags, £5. I will move more towards some busy bargain bags that don't have the bits in the box. And it's just like, hey, you get this, but you also need cubes for different colors, something like that, like a different color of cube per player. Or, hey, you definitely need pencil and paper, because whilst the game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify the matter that makes noises is better, in my opinion, if you have pencil and paper, you don't need it. You can just use the cards as points. And I do kind of, how can I put this? I am very much inspired by cheap ass games. I'm very much inspired by them. And if I look at those first print run, first edition busy bargain bags, limit them to 50 copies, that's a good number. It's cheap enough for me. I think I can probably sell it out after a few months. And if people are willing to give me a good amount of feedback on them, then I will give them the next thing. And I would probably want to keep at least 5 for myself. I'm kind of sad that a couple of my games I seem to have not. I'm not sure I've got copies of all the editions of all my games, which is kind of sad. And also, yeah, I definitely don't have duplicates. So some of them I've got one that has been played with, and that's okay. But I would like one to kind of keep nice and play later. But it's okay. At least I've got the files. At least, and with the future editions, at least okay, I've got a second edition or whatever. But I'm going to try and going forwards keep 5 for myself, 10 to pitch with, 10 to give to other companies, and then if other companies don't take them all, then I will give some away potentially, and potentially like even like 5 or so to give to volunteers at conventions. Like if I go to UK Games Expo, I want to kind of give all of the things to all of the people who are helping me. And that's a lot already. Like that's 10 people. At which point it's like, okay, there's only really 30 copies left for sale, which is hardly anything. And I mean, sure, 30 copies left for sale is enough that I have to demo it, but and I want to demo them. That's like the big thing. That's the key parts of these games. And it's like, okay, next year it might be a case of, okay, which one of these are you most excited by? And I'll try to have them printed a month before the convention. Like, is that realistic? I'm actually going to look at my calendar now. So try and get them printed for the start of May. Files ready by the middle of April. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to aim for. Then have stuff for the start of May, then I can ship them out to people who are helping me. They get a lot of time because, like, people at Essen, like, I just want to say to all my helpers, like, basically, like Josie and like Kat and Johan, and like, I don't want to start naming names, but like people who were helping me at UK Games Expo. If I haven't criticized you to your face and in writing, that means that you were brilliant. And I didn't have any criticism to give. And I just want to acknowledge that all my people were flipping brilliant and just super awesome. Because like I go to Essen and then I see people who are, and part of that is the people that I choose. Don't get me wrong. Like Josie's enthusiasm. You are super awesome, and I love you. And like, I'm both happy to have you as a friend, but also I'm happy to have you at my stand, and I really super appreciate that. And part of that is the person, but also part of that is how much can I facilitate this. So at UK Games Expo, sure, I had one. Yeah, I think it was just one. I had one new game at UK Games Expo, but I also had stuff that had been printed like a couple of weeks before, and then I posted them out and was like, okay, please learn these things. And people get weeks to kind of play them, to learn them, to not only learn how to teach them, but also how to guide people through that. And I don't know if you didn't catch the thing where I was bad mouthing one of the demos that I had. You know, I very strongly feel like teaching a game at a convention isn't just teaching the rules, but it's also making sure that people understand the way it's meant to be played. Being near them. Like if people were really confused by a game about selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies, I would hope that you'd be feeling, okay, you know what? I'm able to, speaking of which, I have to send that over. Yes, I'll have to, yeah. Whew, lots of stuff to do. Yes, I should probably have sent that to Josie. Although having said that, I've only got 3 copies of that game, so I'm not even selling it. So yeah, I'm not selling. I'm trying to think what I've made. Yeah, I'm not selling anything that you don't know, Josie. I'm only selling a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your vegetables, and also the brand new one, which I don't have myself. But I will give you a copy of selecting 7 cards, speedily searching for synergies at the convention. Don't send. Okay, sure. But anyway, and Josie says, you're awesome too. Thank you very much. And yes, there are some lovely people on my stands. Generally, everyone is super enthusiastic. Yes, that's the thing. I mean, I have pondered in the past, and like if UK Games Expo this year, I was seriously pondering, should I be offering money? Because I would happily offer Stephen money to be at my stand rather than Floodgate Games. But as soon as you start doing that, then you have to start worrying about, okay, what exactly was the number of hours? Are people here for the money or are people here for the games? And look, I try to make it so that people who are at one of my conventions, if the money is important, I will cover. Yeah, I need to actually sort out things, but I want to make it so that you don't go somewhere and be like, oh, I'm out of pocket. But like the other stuff, like kind of hanging out together and like the accommodation and like the having a meal together and the games, like those aren't good rewards unless you actually care about the stuff. So I feel like doing that, it kind of self-selects. And I know that who was it? James Hammy Hamilton told me about how it started really changing the vibe of everything when they started thinking, okay, it's not a volunteer position anymore. Because right now, if someone wants to go away for half an hour, frankly, I'm not keeping track of that. I'm not there to be like, oh, you're late. I mean, as long as people are there at the critical times, if someone's not there at like 2 p.m., I'll be a bit annoyed. If someone's not there when it starts, or I'll be a bit annoyed. But if someone's like, oh, I need to go to the loo every hour, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, you cancelled like 10 minutes of your job. And that's the thing. Like, if I started paying people, I mean, I'd have to be thinking, well, you're going to the loo, like, or you're going on smoking breaks and you're doing this and this other person. And that's not, that doesn't feel like a good state to have to be in. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, but anyway, the point is, yes, I want to be in a position of, here's all the games that we'll do at UK Games Expo. And I don't know how I'm going to manage that when I go away. I wonder if I can even get Rob to. Yeah, maybe do something special for me, like send it to Spiral Galaxy if I work with Spiral Galaxy when I go away, and then find one person who will, yeah, post stuff. Like, that would be like a paid thing of, yeah, it's going to take you a couple of hours to do this. Let me pay you for a couple of hours of your time to just distribute these things to 10 different people who are going to help me. And then those 10 different people will at least have all the new games. Although in 2024, um, yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned, I am thinking I'm going to come back for an extended tour. So if people have a couch or a bed that I can sleep on, then let me know. But yes, Josie says, what I like is the flexibility. As something, sometimes there's something on you want to go to, but generally the team covers you. Yes, you can say, "Oh, I want to be away for this time," and I try my best to be flexible. And it's like, yeah, if we've got one person less at this time than I would like, it's okay. Like, ideally, I'd like a certain number of people at each particular time, but it works out. I mean, what I don't want is for there to be like three people and nothing more. Because whilst Surprise Terror Games managed to run three tables sometimes with one person, that's really harsh. And they were basically scheduling for there to always be two people, which means that if one person of those two has to go to the loo, if one person of those two has to have a quick bite to eat, there's one person kind of being the main focus. And that does mean that if you're teaching a game, if you're demoing a game, and then someone else comes up and is like, oh, what's going on? They don't actually ask it, but you can see it with their eyes. You can see that they're curious. It's so good to have people in the background who are ready to pick up that slack. And yeah, having more people like generally around is always a good thing. And so yeah, it'll be interesting with KCON because this is a super small convention and it is going to be just the two of us. Dragon Meat as well. I mean, it's not going to be that many. It might actually just be. Yeah, realistically, it's looking like it will just be free, which isn't great. But yeah, Laura will be there. I've asked Laura to be there as long as possible. But yeah, we'll see how it works. And at the Gamers Gaming Getaway, that's like a super small convention with like less than 100 people. So I'm going to be running my 2 p.m. events because that will be fine. Coffee and chocolates will be required. I will I will happily fetch you coffee and I'll happily bring lots of chocolates. You need vegan chocolate, so I guess dark chocolate from. Are you happy with. That is actually a nice thing about dark chocolate, that it can be vegan. I mean, I'll have a little bit of 100% if that's something that you want. I'll have a lot more just general cheap Sainsbury's or Lidl stuff, because also it comes in the red packaging, which is quite nice. Um, yeah, I do always have the dark stuff, but I normally have like a bit of milk and white as well, but I think I might just skip the milk chocolate, to be honest, because if there's no one who's, except for me, who's not a vegan, then yeah, dark chocolate all the way. Um, so yeah, I've rambled a lot more than I wanted. Honestly, I'm just going to put this out there. I'm a bit sad that I'm not at the Playtest UK. I've got this bloomin' headache and I'm feeling, yeah. I do have the energy to cook something. I'm going to make myself some food and then I'm going to. Yeah, I worked out it's not a super complicated thing. I'm going to chop up some potatoes. I'm going to mix it with some spinach. and some dead animal flesh, some spices, fry it in the oven. Hopefully, I'll be eating soon. And then I will go back to sleep. And I might read a comic, Usagi Ojimbo. I already have these books, but this is a new format. And yeah, super excited to read it in the slightly new format. Because these ones I only had in the slightly smaller format. Like, I am such an Usagi fangirl. Not having said that, I'm not the biggest fan of the animations, but I just love the line work. I love the stories. And for me, I'm a much bigger fan of the main timeline rather than the ones where it jumps into the future. But yeah, that's me. And let's move forwards. That I've already started with over to you. What are you up to? You can share button if you want to. So what's something that you have to do? What's something that you need to do? What's something that you just want to do? And what's something that might bring you joy today? Because it's always important to do at least something that makes you smile. Um, I'm. I think that I've already told the people on Friday I'm not arriving, and Ellie asked me also to not come if I'm not feeling well because Ellie doesn't want to get sick. And other than that, I am not going to do anything today. Yeah, I am very fortunate. I'm very privileged. I'm able to just clear all my obligations today. Boom, done. Things that I still feel like would be good for me as a person to do. I would like to get outside. Um, I feel like I always smile a bit more when I take a walk outside, so I'm going to. Yesterday I had a nice walk, saw the ducks. Not sure I feel up to it, is the truth. Like, I'll see how I feel, but I'll definitely, um, even if it's in the evening after I wake up again, I'll have a walk around the block at least, just to get outside. And yeah, but other than that, I'm looking forward to doing a bit of cooking, which I'm not actually looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to the food that will come after it. I'm looking forward to eating. I'm looking forward to maybe reading, maybe watching videos, and definitely sleeping. That will be my day, even though I slept a ridiculous amount. Like, hopefully, this headache will go away. What about you? And Josie says, looking forward to the eating, doing nothing, having that. Oh, that's an order rather, or a suggestion rather than a um, explanation. Do nothing, have a nap, and feel better. Frank makes everything taste good. Or was that you telling me what you are doing? But yeah, question of the day, question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. My question of the day is, have you ever pole danced? I have pole danced, and I really enjoy it, but I don't do it often enough. Also, I've got a hula hoop over there. Like, I've not pole danced for years and years, just because I've not had a pole. But a hula hoop I've got right there. I could take this hula hoop into the park. I mean, it would be slightly embarrassing, I'm not going to lie, but I could overcome that embarrassment and just hula hoop in the park or hula hoop in. Yeah. And so I'm thinking that I might do that. But yeah, my question to you is, have you ever done pole dancing? Have you done hula hooping? And if so, when was the last time? Personally, the last time I did pole dancing was, wow, pre-pandemic. That's a while ago. The last time I did hula hooping, on the other hand, was almost a year ago. Wow, still quite. So what? Yeah, I've not done it since I came here, I don't think. Yeah, I've got to like take it down the stairs and then. But I will do that. Maybe not today, but at some point in the relatively near future. So yes, have you done pole dancing? Have you done hula hooping? I am curious. Josie says, I have work. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. I wish that you could just kind of call today off and kind. I, I mean, It's weird, like, sometimes I feel really lazy because I'm always very vocal when I'm just like, "You know what? I'm going to take today off. I'm going to take, like, 3 days off in a row." And I do kind of get to do if I'm not at a convention, I get to do that pretty much whenever. But at the same time, I do feel like I work quite hard. Like, I'm definitely going to be like, typically, I work weekends, and I try to have, like, 1 day a week, which is typically a Wednesday, where I maybe do a couple of hours of work and then I stop. But yeah, I do, but yeah, I feel like I'm quite privileged in that, I guess, because I am my own boss, I have that flexibility, but also have to make sure I get shit done. Josie has never pole danced. I think you would enjoy it. I think if you find a place near you to give it a go, I think it's worth giving it a go. Spinning round is quite fun. Yeah. Um, I have hula hooped, also danced with poi and fire fans. I've done the poi, I've never done the fire fans. I lost my huge weighted hula hoop, so I haven't done hula hooping for about 7 years. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I hope that sparks some nice memories. I hope you get a chance to play around with silly things sometime soon. And let me recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up, what was I talking about? Oh yes, I am a bit sick. Grease Lightning, good fun. A bit mathsy for friends. Farben, good fun. A bit overly creative for us that night. Skål is good fun. Um, yeah, some of the modules might be a bit much for you. You don't have to add them all, so that's good. Also, everyone has to be of a roughly similar balance, unless you the year. I am going to be doing a Kickstarter next week, and it basically explains how going forwards, Bessie Bargain Bags are going to be like, hey, this is not tested as much as I would like, and then eventually it will be like, hey, I'm happy with this. This is now tested. So many people have bought it. I've seen it played by so many people in conventions, and I am actually very happy with it. So up the price to 750, and then at that point probably start thinking about putting it into a small tuck box. And that's probably what I'm going to do. Move to a model where I've got a whole bunch of things. So in 2025, when I come to UK Games Expo, I'll say to Rob, hey, I want 100 of this and 100 of this and 50 of that, and make my order up to 1,000. And hopefully Rob will be able to bring 1,000 games for me to UK Games Expo, and I'll have to work with logistics people. Yes, I'm not looking forward to that. That's a talk for another time. Ah, ah. That's my sigh of dreading that work. Not gonna lie. So yes, that was a lovely chat. Thank you for being here. If you want to check me out, I'm Stuff by Bez in all the places, stuffbybez.com/streams. Share, spread the word. Thank you very much, everyone. Whether you're chatting away and asking questions, which I super appreciate, or whether you're just a lurker and I see there's like at least someone else watching on Facebook, and thank you for watching, and it makes me feel slightly validated that there's someone watching, even if you're, not asking questions. So thank you for watching and making me feel kind of good about myself. But for now, yeah, that's basically the end of the show. Lots of love to you too, and of course, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Do do do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Do do do. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, everyone.